This is immigration attorney Parviz Malakouti, and I want to go over some common reasons that naturalization applications get denied. These aren't the only reasons. There's many reasons a naturalization application can be denied, but there's 5 common ones that I see, at least 5, but these are the ones that I see the most commonly. So I want to go over them right now, how they arise, and of course, what can be done to alleviate them or to fix them if possible. So the first common reason that I see naturalization application get denied is that the person doesn't have enough physical presence in the United States. So when you're applying for naturalization, you have to have more physical presence measured on a day-by-day basis in the United States than outside of the United States. That period is 5 years for naturalization applicants that are not married to US citizens and 3 years for naturalization applicants that are married to US citizens. So if you're applying for naturalization and you're not married to a US citizen, that means you have to have at least 913 days in the United States in the last 5 years, okay? That's 1 day more than not, okay? And if you're married to a US citizen, you have to have at least 548 days in the United States than outside the United States. I see confusion on this. I see miscalculation of the days. And as a result, I do see a lot of denials or people who come to me that have a request for evidence or possibly a notice of intent to deny that have this issue. This is a tough issue because it's a straight calculation. So there's not necessarily much that can be done if a person doesn't meet the days test. But what I do see often is a miscalculation. So you want to make sure that you're calculating correctly, or you're coming to a qualified immigration attorney such as myself who can calculate that correctly and make sure that you're getting credit for every day you're in the United States. So that's the first reason, lack of physical presence. The second common reason that I see naturalization applications denied is a failure to prove continuous residence in the United States over the past 5 years or 3 years if they're married to a US citizen. So continuous residence is a topic that I see mixed up with physical presence, right? Because they're both kind of dealing with the time that you're in the United States, but they're 2 separate requirements and they both have to be satisfied in order for you to qualify for naturalization. What's continuous residence? It's basically where are you making your home? Okay, so the way continuous residence works is that if you are outside of the United States for at least 6 months at a time, okay, so 6 months continuously, okay, you kind of end up with a rebuttable presumption, that's what we call in law, and I'll break this down, a rebuttable presumption of having broken your continuous residence. What does rebuttable presumption mean? It means that USCIS is considering that you have broken your continuous residence unless you prove otherwise. How do you prove otherwise? You show that you kept paying taxes in the United States, you kept your job in the United States, you didn't work, you didn't get a job when you were outside of the country, you kept your home in the United States, you kept your car insurance, you kept your car registration, you kept all your ties to the financial system, banking, stocks, checking accounts. The list goes on and on. This is how you prove that you kept your continuous residence. You did not break your continuous residence when you were outside of the United States for over 6 months. Okay, so I see a lot of people come to me, they have an issue with continuous residence, either a previous denial or they've had the naturalization interview and they've gotten a request for evidence on that point. That is a point that a lot can be done on if you have the proper representation. A lawyer can help. I have helped many people with that issue, the continuous residence issue, because a lot of it is digging up the relevant documentation, possibly even getting affidavits of support from family members and other people that can attest to the fact or attest to facts related to you keeping ties to the United States. So that's the second common reason I see for denial of naturalization. A third common reason that I see applications be denied is that they failed to be domiciled in their residence for 90 days before they sent the application. Let me explain. So USCIS has different addresses that you have to send your application to for the N-400 for naturalization to, depending on where you live in the United States. You have to be domiciled in your current address for at least 90 days before sending the application. A lot of people don't know about this. So what happens? A person moves somewhere, okay? Maybe they were busy with moving or whatever. They weren't thinking about this, or maybe they didn't know about this aspect, and then they've been in their new domicile for 20 days, 30 days, a month and a half, and then they send off the naturalization application. And unfortunately, sometimes that application goes all the way through the system. Maybe it could be a year, okay? And then a year later, you get the news back, hey, you haven't been at that address for at least 90 days, therefore your application is denied. It sounds like a petty thing, like a technicality. People get denied on this, okay? So you wanna make sure that you have that squared away, okay? That's number 3. Fourth common reason that I see people get denied for naturalization are common ones that people don't know about. They fail either their English test or their civics test. What's the English test? English test is that you have to be able to conduct the interview, the naturalization interview, in English. You have to be able to understand the questions. You have to be able to give your answers to the questions in English. If the adjudicator asks you, hey, how did you get to the interview today? Basic questions, you have to be able to understand them and to respond. You also have to be able to write down an answer or a question that's given to you verbally, and then sometimes there's a test that goes the opposite, which is that they'll give you a question or a statement, okay, on paper, and then you have to say it verbally. Okay, that's the English test. Civics test is basically about the questions about the history and civics of the United States. You are given 10 questions of a possible bank of 100. You have to get at least 6 correct. People fail this, okay? Typically I see this as an issue with the older generation, maybe an elderly person that has difficulty with English. Maybe it's their second, third, fourth language and they're having a hard time learning it. You have to study, obviously, if that's an issue. However, if there's a cognitive issue, if there's some sort of disability, a person could apply to have the English test waived, okay? So that's a whole different video. If you have that issue, you can contact our office. We can talk about that. Okay, so that is a fourth most common reason. And these are not in any order. These are just 5 common reasons I see for denial. 5th one is a big one and a complicated one. And the 5th reason that I see people get denied for naturalization is they fail the good moral character requirement. Okay, so to apply for naturalization, you have to show that you have what's called good moral character for the previous 5 years before applying for naturalization. Okay, good moral character is quite nuanced, topic. It's not something that there's like an easy one sentence thing where you can say, oh yeah, this person has good moral character, or they don't. But obviously convictions, arrests, other run-ins with the law, okay, can hurt somebody in trying to prove that they have good moral character. It's not just criminal issues, not paying child support. Other issues could be used to deny a naturalization application based on good moral character. That's a very complicated situation. If you have a green card and you have a criminal record and you want to apply for naturalization, you definitely want to contact a qualified immigration attorney, at very least for a consultation, and probably to be represented by a qualified immigration attorney as well. Because remember, if you have a criminal record and you apply for naturalization, the worst thing that can happen to you is not just that you get denied naturalization. The worst thing that can happen is that you could also be placed into removal proceedings and be fighting off deportation. So that's a very sensitive subject. So those are the 5 reasons, 5 most common reasons that I see people get denied for naturalization. Again, these are not all the reasons. There's plenty of other ones as well, but this is what I see the most common. If you have questions about your particular situation, you want to speak to me about that, click on the link below, book a paid consultation. We can get into your issues and whether you qualify and what the chances might be. And if you don't want to have to deal with figuring this stuff out for yourself, if you want to hire a professional to represent you throughout the whole process, click on the booking link below and book a consultation. We can get into your chances of success, whether you qualify, and then of course, timeline and pricing. That's it. Good luck.